Hello and welcome to another community conversation. I'm Mayor Eric Pappenfuss and it's Friday at noon, so we are live on Facebook and on WHBG Channel 20. Thank you for joining us. We've got a great show today with a lot of important information. We're joined by 6 guests. We'll start with Christopher Selmer, who is the superintendent of the Harrisburg School District. He'll give us some very important updates. We will then move to Tracy Whitmer, who is the Regional Affairs Director for PPL Electric Utilities, and then Charlotte Katzenmoyer, who is the CEO of CRW. We'll then talk with Carl Singleton, who is the President and CEO of the PA Diversity Coalition, and we'll end with Sheila Dow Ford, Executive Director of Impact Harrisburg, and Nona Watson, the Community and Economic Development Director for the City of Harrisburg, to give us an update on the Neighborhood Business Stabilization Grant Fund, which I understand has received hundreds of applications since we opened it just last week. So we're excited about that. A few general updates to start. Last week, we mentioned that we had a police officer who had unfortunately contracted the coronavirus. I'm pleased to report that he's doing much better this week, and in fact, there's a meeting underway right now among command staff and the police department to talk about how to integrate him back into the workforce once his quarantine is over. So that's positive news, and I thought you'd want me to share that with you. Also wanted to let you know, and I think many of you know this, that some businesses will be opening even today in Harrisburg per Governor Wolf's relaxing of some of the orders surrounding construction as well as outdoor activities. So specifically in the city of Harrisburg, water golf is opening, our urban golf course, so to speak. We've been working very closely with them over at City Island. They are implementing important social distancing and cleaning measures. If you do choose to play water golf, you'll be asked to bring a mask. You'll have to stay within your family group or unit that's playing, and we're going to take a sort of go slow and careful approach with water golf. We've also reached out to the marina on City Island, and under Governor Wolf's order, they will be allowed to open this month as well. And the marina will be opening on May 15th. So we should see some increased boating activity in Harrisburg. Other than that, the only other activity which is beginning up again this coming week will be construction. And you will see that in and about Harrisburg. My understanding is the federal courthouse will be going back to work with construction. Did you know we were the only federal courthouse in the country that paused construction during this health emergency? But they'll be going back to work this coming week, and I think it will be a number of weeks before anything else changes in Harrisburg, but that's a start, and you can look for that around town. Also, a brief update on protests. I know many of you were very concerned about the protests that happened now a couple weeks ago, and we have been keeping a very close eye on this. There's been chatter on Facebook about returning to the Capitol to protest, but I just checked with the commissioner this morning, and although there are protests planned, especially for tomorrow in other state capitals, we're really not expecting much in Harrisburg at this time. I promise we will continue to monitor it, and our primary goal is to keep you, our residents, safe, as well as our first responders. But we don't expect a mass protest returning to Harrisburg at this time, and that is good news. Also wanted to talk to you briefly this morning about the census. It is census time, and as many of you know, it is very, very important to take the census. It is going to help shape the funding, which will come in the future to our communities, including Harrisburg, funding which is so vitally important for us, funding everything from business development to education. Take the census. If you don't want to fill out the form you've received in the mail or you haven't, you can fill out a form online. The web address is 2020census.gov. It's only going to take a few minutes, and no, it's not going to ask you a question about citizenship or anything like that. It's a very straightforward form. You can also, if you would prefer, call and take the census by phone. You can do that any day between 7 a.m. and 2 a.m. Eastern Time during the week. And there's 2 numbers set up, one for English and one for Spanish. I'll give those to you now. For English, if you want to take the census by phone, call 844-330-2020. And for Spanish, dial 844-468-2020. 2020. We'll continue to post that information and have that information available, but please do take the time to be counted. We're going to turn now to our guests, and as always, it seems, over these past weeks, we're going to begin with the school district. As many of you know, we've interrupted the regular scheduled programming for in-classroom virtual instruction to do this Facebook Live. We'll be getting back to that shortly, but we're joined by Superintendent Christopher Selmer. And Mr. Superintendent, I understand there is some relatively big news and exciting news about graduation. I know that many have been anxiously hoping that there could be some form of graduation. It was unclear there for a while, but perhaps there are plans now. So what's going on with proposed graduation?
Good afternoon, Mayor. Thank you for having me again. And we did issue an announcement last evening regarding graduation. So we are hopeful for July 16th that we will have our normal traditional graduation, but given the current situation, if things do not change, we will have a plan B to celebrate and recognize our graduates accordingly on Thursday, July 16th. And we will make a final decision on which graduation model we'll utilize by July 3rd, which will be the same day we're announcing our plans for prom as well, which has been moved to July 11th. So July 3rd will be the date where we make final announcements on what events will occur related to prom on July 11th and graduation on July 16th. But we're keeping our fingers crossed, and we're hopeful for a significant change that will allow us to have a traditional graduation for our class of 2020.
That's really exciting, and I think by moving them to July, again, those dates were July 11th and the 16th, situations permitting, that we can hopefully have some return to a semblance of normalcy at this critical juncture for those seniors. So good news there, and we'll continue to follow. I also understand you're having good success with the Chromebook distribution, which, as we've been sort of updating folks over the past several weeks, has now trickled down to even the lower schools. So what can you tell us about that program?
Yes, so Wednesday we did a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade Chromebook distribution. We issued over 500 units on Wednesday. We were supposed to have a distribution yesterday. We postponed due to the inclement weather. We are distributing today from 9 to 1. We've had a very good success rate again this morning. I was out at both sites. Both sites, Camp Curtin and John Harris, have been very active, and we're excited to continue to be able to distribute Chromebooks to our students in the Harrisburg School District. In addition, this week, due to the grant that I announced last week that the school district was awarded, we were able to place an order for 1,000 additional Chromebooks, which are on their way to the Harrisburg School District. That would be for grades 3, 4, and 5. And then we're also working on an initiative for a tablet initiative for grades K1 and 2. So I'm really excited about the progress we're making in conjunction with the support of you, Mayor, with Channel 20, allowing us to broadcast lessons for our students, and our partnership with WITF, the journal initiative that we've done. We've really continued to try to support our students and families during this extremely difficult time. And I just want to thank all our partners for their continued collaboration and support. Without that support, we wouldn't be in the position we're in today to continue to try to evolve our continuity of education planning for the Harrisburg School District.
Great, that is terrific news, and it's just impressive to see that each week more and more outreach is being done to students and families. I guess it's not too early to begin thinking about registration, I guess, for next year. I understand there's a new portal that's been developed by the school district?
Yes, that's correct. On our website, we have a new registration portal, which we launched yesterday for grades 1 through 12, and the kindergarten portal will go live on Wednesday for our kindergarten enrolled students for the 2021 school year. So it is a way for our parents to connect, provide documents. They'll speak with someone from our registration office. We've issued them cell phones in their homes, so they're able to communicate with families and do registrations through the portal from home. obviously trying to adhere to all, social distancing and other safety measures. So we're really excited. The team did a great job putting this together over the past couple of weeks. And again, as you mentioned, Mayor, I believe it's just another step that we've taken to try to support our students and our families. And we're excited to see the success of that portal. And we believe there's processes and procedures within that portal that post-COVID that we'll be able to utilize to better serve our families.
Okay, great. And again, how do families access that portal?
Is on our website. It's hbgsd.us. There is a link on the main web page. There's also phone number contact on that site. In addition, we have pushed it out on all our social media platforms as well. So you can find the information on Facebook and Twitter, and as well as our website.
Great. And believe me, I know how hard it is to be trying to project a budget for next year, but the work has to continue even amidst this pandemic. We talked last week about an upcoming budget workshop. What can you update me on that?
So we're still working through the budget process. Certainly, there are many unknowns. Harrisburg School District is 60% reliant on state revenue. So what's happening with the projected revenue shortfalls the state are obviously of great concern to the Harrisburg School District. The other, point you mentioned at the opening of the show with the census is so critical for the Harrisburg School District. The federal funding that we receive through our title programming, Title 1, 2, 3, and 4, there's a direct correlation to that census information on dollars that can flow to the Harrisburg School District. So when you say the importance of that census information, it's always been important. It's extremely, extremely important right now. And it can really set the bar of supports we can provide for our students for the next decade in the Harrisburg School District. So I echo your comments on that, Mayor. And from the school district perspective, we agree wholeheartedly with you on the importance of that census and what it can mean for annual budgets. But we are concerned with revenue projections looking at 2021. We're looking at all our expense line items, and we are going to do our best to navigate these uncertain times. And again, I'm confident we will all pull together, and we will put a budget together that will be sustainable for the 2021 school year for the Harrisburg School District. But there, as you said, there are many unknowns, and we'll do our best to continue to work through those.
Thank you for that update, and thank you for the affirmation about the census. As many people know, it's going to be harder to get an accurate count in the midst of this pandemic, and we've got to reinforce the option for people to call in or go online to make sure that they're counted. It is clear that the Harrisburg and the region is behind other places in the country in terms of that count, and I don't think we can get that message out enough. Is there anything else you'd like to add from the standpoint of the Harrisburg School District?
Quickly, Mayor, I would say if there's any information on the census, we'd be happy to push it out through school district platforms so we can connect on that to continue to get the word out. I would like to acknowledge our principals. Today is National Principals Day, and so I would like to say thank you to all our principals in the Harrisburg School District and all the principals across the state of Pennsylvania. They're doing phenomenal work during very difficult times to try to continue a continuity of education for students within their buildings. So again, for our principals in Harrisburg, I say thank you, and we honor you today. And then on Tuesday is National Teachers Recognition Day. So let's again say thank you to all our teachers during these very difficult times and recognize them for their phenomenal efforts. And again, Mayor, thank you for having me on today.
Well, thank you very much for coming and sharing those important updates, and absolutely thank you to our superintendents and our teachers and to everyone who's out there on the front lines of this pandemic trying to make a positive difference. We're going to turn now to Tracy Witter, who is the Regional Affairs Director for PPL Electric Utilities. And we thought it would be helpful to have a conversation today about some of the things that our utilities are doing in the midst of this pandemic. We've discussed on past programs certain options that are available for individuals that are having trouble paying their bills. But let's start with a straightforward question, which is, Tracy, what is PPL sort of doing in the midst of this pandemic?
Right. So I think the first thing that's important for all of your viewers to know is that we're all in this public health crisis together. And during it, our first priority is to maintain safe, reliable, affordable electricity for our customers. So power is always important, but it seems really important right now, especially if you think about us working from home, students doing online coursework, hospitals operating life-sustaining equipment, grocery stores, trying to refrigerate perishables. So it's really important that we continue to make that our main priority. And our crews are practicing safe social distancing, wearing masks, and we ask the public to afford them that same courtesy and stay 10 feet away from them.
Okay, very good. If you are a PPL customer and like many, you're having trouble paying your bills, what does PPL offer in the way of assistance?
Yeah, so we have a variety of programs. First, I would say that when this crisis started, we decided to eliminate any late fees, and we will not cut off or shut off anyone's service as a result of an unpaid bill. So that's the first thing. Beyond that, we have a variety of customer assistance billing programs for our customers. First, we have an on-track program, and that is for income eligible customers, and it's a fixed monthly bill, and there's some debt forgiveness involved in that. We have an Operation Help program. This is our largest program, and it's a really neat program because the funds for the program come from our employees and the company. And recently, the PPL Foundation added $500,000 to that fund. So that really is opening up the amount of people that can benefit from the Operation Help program. So that involves some debt forgiveness and grants. We also have a budget billing program where you can have your bills in more consistent, predictable monthly installments. And then finally, we have a program where if you have overdue outstanding balances, we can split them up into monthly payments as well. So really have done a lot to help our customers during this time who are struggling.
And are all of those programs relatively easy to apply for? Is it just simply a matter of calling into PPL? And what type of information do you have to have available in order to enter into those programs?
Yeah, so two things. You can call 1-800-DIAL-PPL and we'll walk you through it. Or you can go to pplelectric.com/billhelp. And there's the online application, which everyone needs to complete. So you can call, but you're also still going to have to go online and apply. And they ask for your income and just important information like that. So pplelectric.com/billhelp.
Great. Hopefully people can check that out, and we appreciate all that you're doing on that. And I know that there are always scammers, it seems like, in this industry. But can you give viewers any advice about how to protect themselves from scammers?
Sure. So we have seen that scammers are not resting during this pandemic. And a lot of them are coming from the energy supply area. So our first advice to you is to not be, don't buy into their schemes. Well, it kind of brings up the discussion about your bill. So you get your electric service from us. We're the distribution of your electricity. The other portion of your electricity is the supply side. So on your bill, you can choose to get your energy from us, and if you do, we sell it to you with no markup. The current price is 7.63 cents per kilowatt hour. So if you want to shop for that portion of your bill, that's the figure that you need to keep in mind. We call it our price to compare. So you can look at other energy suppliers, but make sure it's less than that amount per kilowatt hour. And I would also recommend look at any kind of cancellation fees, whether it's a fixed rate or a variable rate. And best place to go and look at who would be an energy supplier for where you live is papowerswitch.com. And that is a website that is operated by the Pennsylvania Utility Commission. So you just type in your zip code and it will tell you which suppliers are available to you. So the other thing that's important to know is sometimes it will look like the phone call's coming from us. The best thing to do is to just call us, to dial 1-800-DIAL-PPL, and to make sure we can help you get out of anything that, be able to help you work through the phone call that you might have received. So again, the best thing to do is do 1-800-DIAL-PPL, and we don't solicit door to door also.
Thank you. And if you do choose to go with a different supplier for your electricity, would you still qualify for the programs that you mentioned that PPL offers in terms of paying your bills?
The billing assistance, yeah. So that, yes.
Okay.
That relates to the distribution part of your bill.
Great. Just wanted to confirm that. Thank you. Thank you for that. You mentioned that PPL has a foundation. We in the city are somewhat familiar with that because you have assisted in a number of things, including park renovations here. But can you tell the general public a little bit more about the foundation?
Sure. So the foundation, we started the foundation in 2015. And it was born out of the belief that, again, our priority is delivering safe, affordable electricity to our customers. But we also knew there were other ways we could impact the health and sustainability of the community. So we started the foundation in 2015. And since then, we distribute about $3.5 million a year to 300 organizations in our 29 county service area. So some of the examples, like I know the Joshua Group in your region received funding, a major grant from us to help with their after-school programs for youth. So we focus a lot on sustainable communities, education, workforce development programs to make a community better.
Great. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for the assistance from the foundation. Is there anything else that PPL has done or is doing to help with the pandemic, even beyond the funding that's coming from the foundation?
Yeah, and I want to mention too, the funding from the foundation. We recently took money and diverted it from our major grant cycle, which usually is in the fall, and we diverted $300,000 from that major grant cycle to area agencies, about a dozen agencies. So the Capital Region United Way received $50,000 from our foundation because of the COVID crisis. It's part of our COVID crisis fund. But beyond financial, we were able to work with FEMA to see where they needed, where the needs were. And we donated some of our N95 masks to Lehigh hospitals. And also, you might recall a few weeks ago, there were 2 really strong windstorms, and our employees were working around the clock to help keep the power on for our customers. And we also make sure that they're well taken care of during those storms. And we had extra box lunches, and we were able to distribute those to St. Luke's Hospital in the Lehigh area. We've also had employees there's one woman in the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area who made like over 300 masks for area hospitals. So we have a very philanthropic group of employees. We're really proud of that culture.
Great, and I hope all your employees are staying safe in the midst of this crisis. Is there anything else that you'd like to convey to the public at this time?
Just if you want any of the information that I reviewed today, if you want to look at that further, the best place to go is pplelectric.com/coronavirus. And we have all the information that I discussed today, from scammers to customer assistance programs to our foundation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tracy. We appreciate that very much. And next, we're going to turn to Charlotte Katzenmoyer, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Capital Region Water, and she'll be able to give us an update about CRW and its activities. Let me start with the same question I just asked of Tracy, which is, in general terms, what are some of the actions that CRW is taking in the midst of this pandemic?
Thanks for having me join you today. We've been busy learning all about different precautions that we need to take to make sure that our crews are safe. We've been splitting crews, ensuring that they're only doing essential tasks. We've reduced the size of our crews to ensure that they can be safe while working together on tasks that they still need other manpower. We're limiting in-house service calls to those that are related to emergencies only, such as low or no water pressure. And we're requiring employees to wear masks and anytime they're outside working for us on our behalf. And we're attempting to limit the vehicles to a single occupant. The majority of our administrative staff, including our customer service staff, are working from home or teleworking. So those are some of the things that we've been doing, and we continue to follow CDC guidance because it seems to change daily on things that that we need to do to ensure that our crews are safe.
Yes, thank you, Charlotte. It sounds like you're doing a lot to make sure that not only your crews are safe, but the public is safe. That said, we do see CRW out there still completing work throughout the city. Can you talk about the type of critical projects that have been continuing even amidst the pandemic?
Yeah, if you see our crews out working, it's because it's a critical infrastructure that needs to continue to operate so that we can deliver essential services, or it's an emergency. If we have a sewer or water main break, we need to have our crews out there. So if you see them working in your neighborhood, it's because they need to be out there to deliver essential services. But there are other projects that we're also beginning. You'll begin seeing more construction work as construction work is being allowed to begin. For instance, we're beginning a water line relining project on Cameron Street. And on Minnick Street, we're doing a repair to sewer pipes. But much of our infrastructure that you see us working on dates back to 1880s and 1890s. So this is critical work that we need to continue to complete in order to provide the essential services to our customers.
Great. And as you mentioned, there may be businesses or buildings that eventually at some point are going to shift from having been closed for a period of time to reopening. Do you have any general advice from a utility standpoint for businesses that maybe have been dormant for a while that are coming back to life?
Yes, as buildings begin to reopen, it's building owners and facility managers should be aware that stagnant water in internal plumbing systems should be cleared or flushed from the system. Flushing both hot and cold water through all points of use, showers, sinks, anywhere there's the ability to flush the lines. The purpose of this flushing is to replace all water inside building piping with fresh water and to ensure that it has, the adequate disinfection that's needed that we add to the water from our treatment process. So you should know that when water is flushed, that it turns from slightly warm or cold to warm to hot. So then you know that the pipes are adequately flushed. The CDC also has guidance on their website on building water systems and devices, how to make sure that the building can be occupied. So I'd suggest that building owners and facility managers look also for that CDC website.
Thank you. That's excellent advice. So many of us are struggling in the city, trying to figure out which bills to pay and how to make things work in the midst of the crisis. Can you tell me what Capital Region Water is doing to assist customers that are facing financial hardships?
Yes, we've realized that many of our customers will face financial hardship, and our Capital Region Water, along with our board, has made the decision to suspend water terminations and to not charge late payments. This currently is in place until the governor lifts the proclamation of emergency, but the board may decide to make that determination and keep that in place for a longer period of time, depending on how our customers are dealing with the finances because the economy, we believe, will continue to be slow. Customers that are requesting water service to be restored, they may have had water service that's been off for a very long time. We encourage them to contact Capital Region Water directly, and we will restore that water service. Capital Region Water has also reduced a variety of fire line, tapping, and operational fees for our customers, just because we realize that these are financially hard times for many people.
Yes, and I imagine there will be discussion to come about the new stormwater fee implementation, which is currently scheduled for July 1. Can you give us any update on that and how the maybe how the appeals process has been working from your perspective?
So many of the actions that Capital Region Water and our board have taken during the pandemic have been in light of the financial struggles that we understand our customers are facing. As the board considers whether the stormwater fee will go into effect, which is currently scheduled for July 1st, that same consideration will be given. So the board will be discussing that to decide whether we need to delay that. But I can't really give you any more information at this point. The board has yet to consider that. As far as the appeals go, we've roughly had about 200 or 300 inquiries regarding appeals. So it's not been overwhelming for staff. So they've been able to manage the process to date and been very cooperative working with the customer as they file these appeals.
Okay, that's great to know, and good to know that that has been able to continue even amidst the pandemic. I read a fascinating article on Penn Live yesterday about the concept of wastewater-based epidemiology, which basically explained that the technology does exist to test our wastewater for not only COVID-19 but other types of pandemics like polio. It's been used for hepatitis, or you can even trace the amount or use of opioids for a particular population. I just wondered, is that something which Capital Region Water is planning to do in the future? And it could be a very interesting way of monitoring, maybe perhaps when we think we've passed the peak of the health crisis.
Yeah, we saw this company, BioBot, that was doing this research with some other agencies around the country. And we contacted them a couple weeks back. At that point, they had reached their limit of how many agencies they were working with. But we since have learned this week that they've opened that up for more agencies to join their research. So we now are on their registry and we'll be working with them to provide our wastewater sampling to them so that they can do the research that you're speaking of. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, that's something that we'll have to follow, and I think could be a useful tool for the city for the future. And then it does beg the question of, so does the wastewater process kill the virus? It seems that it does, but let me ask you as a professional.
So our wastewater process is designed to eliminate waterborne pathogens such as viruses. The risk of transmission is expected to be low based on the data from previous outbreaks of other coronaviruses, such as the outbreak of SARS. So Capital Region Water ensures that our employees follow routine occupational health protocols, as well as CDC precautionary practices to prevent exposure to them from wastewater, just in case they come in contact with raw wastewater before it is actually treated. But the process itself is designed to kill all waterborne pathogens.
Great. And just as a general public service comment, and it really shouldn't need to be said, but we're going to say it again. We need to reduce the amount of gloves and masks and other things that are getting simply just tossed into the streets and potentially swept into the storm drains. People need to recognize that, first of all, we've currently suspended street sweeping in the midst of the crisis, and there will come a time when that returns. But we have a system which only works if people are good custodians and make sure that we don't jeopardize that system by disregarding, getting a lot of trash and a lot of non-degradable things in the stream. Is there anything you'd like to add to in terms of a public request?
Yeah, I would add on to that, Mayor, that another important reminder is to be careful what you're flushing down the drain. You're down the toilet and going down the drain. There's been lots of talk about toilet paper recently and about all the hoarding. Just please remember that that's the only thing you should be flushing along with your waste. Flushable wipes are not truly flushable, and neither are paper towels or tissues even. So these cause headaches for us, and our crews often have to relieve blockages within sewer lines because of non-flushable items, but they can also cause a headache for residential plumbing and often lead to sewer backups. So flush only waste and toilet paper, please.
Great, thank you for that reminder. So just as a final word, do you have any other guidance for Capital Region Water customers?
I hope that they, understand how much our crews are doing during this health crisis. They're putting their own health at risk by being out there and providing the essential services. We have some fantastic employees that have been there day in, day out, doing this work regardless of their own health. So I really want to thank them and hope that our residents also thank them when they see them, but with social distancing.
Great. And yes, let me thank all of the workers at Capital Region Water for all of their frontline work day in and day out, making sure that the activities of the city continue to function and that people are able to stay at home because our infrastructure is working. Let me also say I'm looking forward to you moving into your new offices. I know that's probably gotten a little delayed with the construction moratorium, but hopefully once that opens up, your presence here in the city will be even more clearly felt from an office standpoint. So thank you. And great. We're going to go next to Carl Singleton, who is the president and the CEO of the Pennsylvania Diversity Coalition. Carl, it's great to have you. Let's just start with a general question, which is, can you let the public know a little bit more about the PA Diversity Coalition and what it does?
Yep. Well, thanks for having me, Mayor. The Pennsylvania Diversity Coalition, our focus is on ensuring that minority women-owned and controlled businesses have equitable access to state, federal, and local resources with regards to building capacity for those businesses to secure prime and or subcontracts, whether that's in the construction field, IT, professional services, so forth and so on. So it's basically geared towards giving the smaller businesses, and particularly minority-owned and controlled businesses, a unified voice at which to state their cause, purpose, and just to be heard by the larger firms and organizations and agencies.
Right, and I know we've had a moratorium on construction, and it's starting to come. It's about to reopen now in Pennsylvania. So your work is probably more important than ever at this sort of critical moment. But can you tell us a little bit more about who makes up this diversity coalition and how to become a member?
So basically, what we're doing currently is we've honestly suspended membership fees just to show our worth. Quite frankly, what we're finding is a lot of small minority women-owned and controlled businesses are having problems with regards to accessing their banks and the PPP and the EIDL stimulus dollars. So we've honestly taken our focus off of making sure that contracts are being won to meeting a need that we found in the community, which is ensuring that these businesses are actually around post-COVID-19. So I'm happy to announce that we've honestly been very successful at leveraging our unified voice to securing 5 businesses loans, through advocacy, through letter writing, through reaching out, various tiers. One bank in particular, Mid-Penn Bank locally, who you had on, I believe you had their SBA person on last week or the week before. President Retrieve was very receptive and open. So I'd also like to, highlight the good that's going on. Unfortunately, there's a lot, as we've seen in the news, where the minority and women-owned businesses are not having equitable access to that pipeline so they can secure the funding. That's a highlight later on in the show with Impact Harrisburg as well, who's doing a great job. So our cause is kind of focused on not necessarily gaining membership right now, but honestly providing a service to the community that's definitely necessary. And when I say community, I'm talking business-wise, but ultimately it's the overall community, because these people, these businesses serve our population.
Right. So the focus has shifted a bit in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic to making sure that minority and women-owned businesses have access to some of these important SBA loans, and a little less on construction while that's been on standstill. We read a lot in the news about how powerful a program like the Payroll Protection Plan is, but how at least it appears by press accounts that a lot of the money was sort of gobbled up by very large businesses, and a lot of the small mom and pop stores or just stores that didn't have the long-term sort of banking relationship maybe missed out at that initial offering. With more money coming into the PPP and being distributed generally through these SBA loans, what is your advice to smaller businesses that want access to programs like the PPP?
Well, I'll just highlight one of our members is Holt Law Firm here in the city of Harrisburg, that's actually in our building at the hub, the Harrisburg Uptown building. We network together to the point where you can have the accounts, you can have the deposits, you can have the payroll, everything going in and out. But if you don't have an established relationship with the banking entity, whoever your banking relationship manager is, and or knowing how to access those individuals in the executive suites, as I call it, your money is almost just sitting there. You need to have, as we are providing, I've come to figure out, you have to have that unified voice to go in unison to highlight not only a problem, but how to resolve it. And so before the next wave of dollars come out, what we've done is we've established a pipeline of questions that needs to be asked. The onus honestly starts off with the business owner. You should know where your money is going. You should know have those banking relationships. But if you don't, that's where the coalition comes in, shows that unified voice with you, and then making sure paperwork is in order, making sure you're prepared on your end before we go and try to access those resources that are out there before it's too late once again.
So if I'm a small business, the Diversity Coalition not only can help me make those important connections to the banks, but also perhaps even assist me in getting my paperwork in order so that I will be eligible for these loans?
And the first thing is to make sure that you have your paperwork in order. So your taxes, basic information that is being requested on the application. Our advocacy comes in at when you've done everything that you've been able to do in terms of getting your application in that pipeline. What we want to make sure is that those dollars, those public dollars, are distributed in an equitable manner. It's even noticed in the last round of the PPP allocations that there's specific emphasis that's being given to community-based banks and CDFIs, to the tune of, if you're a community-based bank or CDFI who has under $10 million in annual revenue, or you're under that threshold, you are given preferential treatment with regards to that 30 billion allocation that has just recently come out that should be in the communities where low to moderate income individuals live, work, and play, and particularly those businesses that I highlight are operating.
Great, Carl. Thank you. And why is it important in your mind that people unify under an umbrella organization like the PADC as opposed to sort of trying to go at it alone?
So is there strength in numbers? There's strength in a unified message. For example, there's currently the legislation out there that is trying to address the Credit Recovery Act in communities. And there's open time for discussion right now where it's being proposed that the rules are laxed a little bit and have the banks more in control of the credit, the reinvestment association credits going back into our community. Our perspective is, as an individual entity, if you're going to address something of this magnitude, or if you're addressing the $2 trillion in stimulus dollars, it is more beneficial to show a mutually beneficial concern with a solution than going out doing it alone. It's better to do it under a unified umbrella. And the Diversity Coalition is small enough, yet with a large enough voice statewide to go out and advocate on behalf of the underserved, underrepresented, and oftentimes undereducated individuals in terms of the processes that are utilized to distribute and allocate dollars.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Is there anything else on a final note that you'd like to convey to the public about the Diversity Coalition?
Just that we're open. I could be reached at Carl, K-A-R-L, thepadc.org. We are open in terms of we are willing to help you, independent of if you're a member or not. This is critical that we are in a position to have a unified message going forward to ensure our mission and vision, which is equitable access to resources, is pushed forward. So we're not only saying we're not saying you have to be a member right now. We're saying forget the fees. We want to provide the service, help you. We'll show our worth. And that's what makes us different than a lot of other organizations, I might add. Right now is a crisis. We're not trying to make money right now. We're trying to make sure that we serve the community. There'll be times post-COVID-19 where our worth will be recognized, and then we can start discussing the real resources coming in to build the Diversity Coalition from the monetary standpoint. But right now, it's about serving the community.
Thank you. That's great information, and I hope we've gotten it out there and that people will avail themselves of the Diversity Coalition. Also, I think it's a good segue into our last point of conversation today, which is the Neighborhood Business Stabilization Grant Fund, the partnership between the City of Harrisburg and Impact Harrisburg, which just opened up last week. This grant fund was conceived of, in fact, as a means of reaching these very small businesses, these neighborhood businesses, we're calling them, which sort of form the cornerstone of our economy on a block-by-block basis, but oftentimes maybe aren't the larger businesses, maybe aren't established in their relationships with banks and don't have access to other types of funding. But need a quick infusion of cash to be able to survive. Remember, the goal here is to help these businesses make it through the crisis. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. We will get through this together, but we don't want any businesses to fold even before they have a chance to reopen. So the thought being a quick injection of cash, an injection of cash coming soon here in the month of May, and one that will help with those critical bills from rent to utilities to payroll, you name it, to working capital. So joining us today, first we have Sheila Dow Ford, who is the Executive Director of Impact Harrisburg. And Sheila, I know that hundreds of people have applied, and I know that many businesses are anxiously awaiting word on the program. So I thought, although we're not done yet, we could give a status update about the program. And let's start with the big picture numbers. How many people have applied, and how has the response been so far?
Well, good afternoon, Mayor Pepin-Foose, and to all of my colleagues on today's session. I'd like to acknowledge at the outset my colleague and board member, Carl Singleton, who mentioned Impact Harrisburg in his remarks and the work that we are doing in the economic development space within the city of Harrisburg, and the particular emphasis on minority women and disabled business entities. And so that is a signature element of the Neighborhood Business Stabilization Program. In terms of the really good news, and I think it's all good news, why wouldn't it be? It's a grant program, and it is designed to help the smallest businesses, the small businesses and the smallest ones within the city of Harrisburg during this time of very serious crisis on just a number of levels within our region, within our city, within our community, within our state, within our nation, within the world. Mayor, in terms of numbers, Nona Watson, the city's economic development director, and I have conferred on this over the past several days. I think it's fair to say that we are oversubscribed. I think that is good. We have about 360 applications. That is a real significant demonstration in our view of the need that we see in our community among the small business sector. We opened up formally on April the 24th, and we will be announcing grant awards, not in a public way, but to the individuals who have applied, to individual applicants, on or around, and I think that's important, May 7th, which is next Thursday. So we are in fact moving through this process. Today, my board, the Impact Harrisburg board, will be meeting. So Mr. Singleton and I will be talking in a few hours from now. Once again, we'll be discussing this really good news about this opportunity for the city and Impact Harrisburg to really join hands to create a fund. It's $1 million fund to help the small businesses within the city of Harrisburg during the COVID-19 crisis. That's where we are.
Thank you, Sheila, and I'll come back to you in a minute. It's good to know that that the money will start to be awarded and start to make a difference as early as the end of next week. Also, if the number is 360, the quick math in my head says that's about 20% of all licensed businesses in the city, and many licensed businesses may, for one reason or another, not qualify. So that shows a widespread widespread access to the program, or at least information has gotten out for the program. A quick follow-up: is it too late to apply?
And the answer to that is, it is not too late to apply. We are, in fact, of course, moving into the phase of evaluating and decision-making, and we'll begin doing that this afternoon. However, as we have discussed with our partners, the city of Harrisburg, and as we will continue to discuss with my board, we think it is important to really have a sense of the need that exists within the city. And we want all who are interested up until a date certain, which will be early next week for sure, and we will be announcing that. But we want you to, if you think you meet the eligibility requirements, then we would in fact encourage you to apply. That portal will be open for a few more days. So you need to do so sooner rather than later. This is an emergency fund, so the turnaround time is in fact very truncated. It's a short turnaround time. We understand that, and we have had an overwhelming response, which we are pleased with, but we now must begin to make decisions. If you are interested in applying, what you should do is go to impactharrisburg.org, and you will see the Neighborhood Business Stabilization Program. It's a big banner, you can't miss it. And it's a very, very straightforward application. We made it very user-friendly. And let me say something about that. We're also, through this format that we're using, it's a Microsoft Forms process, essentially. It's that application. We're able to obtain good information just at a macro level on the needs within the city of Harrisburg and the business population, demographically and otherwise, that we think will be helpful in a way that really does respect the privacy of our businesses, but also that provides useful, what I would call urban planning information in the future. So the short answer is go out there. You will have a few more days, but we must, of course, begin the process of evaluating and making determinations. We need to, I would also like to stress one other point, which is that as we have said throughout this process, and I think we have done a good job in terms of the partnership in getting the information out to the larger community. We will be announcing, moving through that process. I think it's important to reiterate this, of determining who will receive a grant and making those, putting in place that process of getting the information we need from them, the contract, and then getting the dollars out the door. So it's going to take us a little time, but we still remain in line to do that. We're working in a very linear way, and we are thankful that Nona Watson and Jamal Jones at the City of Harrisburg have been really good stewards, and they've been helpful in getting additional information so that we have as complete a list of applicants as we possibly can, and just in providing counsel and advice.
Thank you, Sheila. And again, if you're watching this at home and you maybe know a business that is hurting during this pandemic and you'd like to encourage them to apply, all you really have to do is refer them to impactharrisburg.org, the website there. Consider this a last call. The applications are still open, but they won't be for long. And we want you to apply if you haven't. As Sheila noted, we want you to apply in part because it's important for our economic development team at the city to get an understanding of the sort of collective needs of Harrisburg, as well as the sort of macro picture of how this virus is impacting our small businesses. And that was really my question for you, Nona. Nona Watson is the Community and Economic Development Director for the city of Harrisburg, and she works with in her office with Jamal Jones. They've been working feverishly to make sure that people understood about this program and getting the word out about the program. But now, Nona, can you talk in general, big picture terms about what you're seeing in terms of the responses and how we can characterize the need in Harrisburg?
Okay, thank you so much, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Also want to thank Sheila Dalford and Impact Harrisburg for the work that they've been doing for the partnership. Is a word that Mr. Singleton used. He said, this is critical, and it definitely is critical. We are excited about the progress that we are making with the Neighborhood Business Stabilization Program. There are 2 points that I'd like to reiterate in reference to the requirements for the program. The first point is businesses that apply must be located within the city of Harrisburg. And what we are seeing is that we have other businesses from other municipalities that are applying, and we would love to assist, but this program is for City of Harrisburg businesses. The other point that I'd like to mention is applicants must be a city licensed business. So we are receiving applications where the business is not licensed by the city. But with that being said, as Mr. Singleton said, this is critical. So we still want to consider these applicants. If there's a business out there that did not apply because they know that they were not licensed, we want to say to them, still apply. We want you to succeed. We want to be able to help you. We're not shutting the door. So that was the second one. The other thing that I wanted to mention is we asked our businesses to complete an online survey, and also within the application, there's a place where they can provide a narrative of what they are experiencing, what has been the impact to their business since COVID-19. And even though we turn on television, we see things that are going on all around the world, but this is home. And I'd just like to share quickly just some of the responses so others can see how this is impacting the city of Harrisburg. And so the first one I'd like to quickly read is one business said traffic flow has decreased significantly and the market is closed to the public. Sales have decreased by roughly 65% between March and April of this year compared to projected revenue. Another business said business volume has dropped by 40% in the last 30 days. And two of our largest contracts were put on hold, and that was a monthly income of about $4,000. Another one said, I have no income and cannot pay my bills. The business has 17 private contractors who are also out of work and have no way of paying their bills or providing for their families. This is not a game. Another one said, the closure has resulted in total lost revenue. We had to furlough 23 employees. And you know what, this very last one came from the survey. And the business owner said, no sales, no income to pay expenses, closed. And that is something that we just don't want to hear. We just don't want to see happen. We want our businesses out there to know that we are working diligently. We're trying to do everything that we can to stand with you, trying to find ways to bring in more funds, trying to connect with other partners or potential partners to see if we can even replenish, because we already know that we don't have enough money to do the things that we want to do. So I'd also like to make this call out to our partners, to our potential partners, to our financial institutions, to our businesses, those larger businesses. If you're doing okay, we'd like to hear from you. To our foundations, we want to hear from you. We want you to stand with us to help us replenish this fund. So like I keep saying, at the end of the day, we are all still standing. And that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nona. That was very eloquently said. And 360 stories, all sort of like the ones that you referenced in your presentation. It must be emotionally draining and very difficult task to go through all these applications. And we thank you and Jamal and Sheila and the whole team for putting in the hours to do this. I am anxious that we are going to be able to get this money out soon. We know how important it is. It's a real lifeline to keeping these businesses afloat. And even as we start to see some businesses start to return, a little bit of construction returning today, a few businesses like the marina opening on the 15th. There's other sort of backbone businesses of our community which are not yet able to open, and we need to help them stay afloat. Sheila, I'll just give you the final word. I think we've covered the update, but I know that the city is interested in a second round of funding, and I believe Impact Harrisburg is as well. And I heard Nona's call out there for other institutions who may be interested in contributing. Could you talk a little bit about the message for those that are perhaps at home and wondering, boy, $1 million is a lot, but it's not going to be enough for 360 businesses?
Certainly, I'd be happy to address that, but I'd like to end in addressing this. What I have to say is that you're right. It's not $1 million is not a lot of money in relation to 360 businesses, the application pool, as it were. We will do everything that we can around due diligence and efficacy to ensure that that the money is distributed in the manner in which we think is appropriate. As far as a second round of funding, my board will be considering that. We have had informal discussions with the city about that very topic. We are initially, though, really interested in sort of, we're in a sprint mode now. So we're interested in sprinting toward the finish line on the first round of funding, and then seeing just what we were able to do. Once again, looking at how many we were able to fund in this first round, and then continuing those discussions about the ability to build in partnership with the city a second round of funding. So I would encourage everyone, my last words today would encourage all the small business owners to take heart, to remain firm, and to remain steady, to really continue to move forward as best you can. We hear you. We have read through all of the stories that you have conveyed, and we live here. We understand how hard it is. This is a small, we believe, but significant way in which we can help you really to recalibrate, to restabilize. And we're not going to go away. So keep listening. Let's see what we can do next. We can't make promises, but we can continue the conversation. And you should hope to hear from us, as I hope to be able to talk to you within the next few weeks. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for the partnership. And thank you to the Impact Harrisburg board for really seeing, having a mission and vision that really did early on say, look, we need to help our business community, our small business community. So thank you.
And thank you, Sheila. And we're going to go now to Momin. We've conveyed an awful lot of information to the public today. Momin, are there some questions coming in for any of the guests?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to thank Stephen Early, who's reminding everyone about the ability to sign up for alerts. So I'd like to direct that question first to Charlotte, and then Tracy, if you can also talk on this. Is there a way for people to sign up for alerts?
Yes, we use a program that's on our website. It's an automatic calling feature that allows us to send alerts to our customers. So we really encourage our customers to go to our website and sign up for those alerts. There are various methods that you can sign up for, whether you want a text message or an email or a phone call, but please go to our website under customer service, and you can find the link to sign up for those alerts.
Okay. And take it to Tracy next. If you could talk about, is there a way to sign up for PPL alerts?
Yeah, so customers can get alerts about outages through their text messages, emails, or phone calls. Any of the three, all three. They can do 1-800-DIAL-PPL, or they can go to our website to get those alerts.
Okay. Great, thank you. We have a few more minutes. 2 questions for Charlotte. One is my tap water safe to drink during the coronavirus pandemic?
Yes, so our water treatment plant, both the source and our plant facilities ensure that drinking water is safe, and we encourage people to use that and not spend their precious resources or income on bottled water. The forefathers of Harrisburg really provided a wonderful gift for this region in securing 9,000 acres of land around a reservoir, DeHart Dam, and that is a pristine source of water. Plus, our water treatment plant meets all the standards that EPA requires of drinking water, and to use very powerful disinfectants that will kill viruses like the coronavirus, as well as other waterborne pathogens. So it's very safe, and again, our source water is probably one of the best water sources in the country.
Okay, great, thank you. The next question is, how do I pay my water bill when the customer service center is closed?
So monthly bills can be paid online, by phone, and by mail. So even with the customer service center closed, We still have various methods. You can visit our website at capitalregionwater.com for more information, or you can call at 1-888-510-0606. And they can take credit card. There's credit card methods that you can use. MoneyGram is also, if you want to pay in cash, MoneyGram at various locations. If you just Google MoneyGram, where the locations are nearest you, you can pay there at those locations as well.
Okay, great, thank you. I think that's all the time we have for questions, but I do want to reiterate some of the websites that were mentioned for the benefit of our viewers. HarrisburgPA.gov is our City of Harrisburg website, harrisburgpa.gov/coronavirus, for a lot of great resources in the community. State and federal resources as well are noted there. ImpactHarrisburg.org for Impact Harrisburg. The PA Diversity Coalition can be found at thepadc.org. PPL Electric is easy, pplelectric.com. Same with Capital Region Water, capitalregionwater.com. And the school district at hbgsd.us.
Okay, Momin, thank you. Thank you for those updates. I thought we had another great conversation today. I hope you enjoyed watching it at home. A general reminder to please continue tuning in Fridays at noon during this health emergency. Next week, we have plans for a special guest, and we're going to talk a little bit about how the media is covering this crisis. So please tune in again next Friday. And for now, I'm Mayor Eric Papenfuss saying thank you for watching our community conversations, and we'll see you next Friday at noon.